In this episode, people crash on the straight. We get a 4-second penalty when we get corrupted. Hello, it's Chunky here and welcome back to the channel. We have an issue this week with people going for gaps that don't really exist, as you can see. But if you're a bit like Super Mikkel and you like going for those gaps and you like hitting things, why don't you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and also share the content because it does help the channel out massively. Let's get into it, and I'm making this video because last week was just terrible in Race B at the Red Bull Ring. As you can see from the title, I probably had enough and I snapped. But what led me to it? As you can see here, going into the turn 2, 3 and 4 complex, people are dive bombing into turn 2, and when it gets to turn 3 and 4 they are literally just squeezing past and trying to just push you off. The penalty system wasn't always super consistent, but it's not just there. Turn 1 was a big problem for me. As you can see in this one, I've just been pushed straight off the track. Luckily, sometimes you don't get a penalty if you make contact, but on this occasion I wasn't quite lucky, and I lose out on the dirty tyres going to turn 2, 3 and 4, and I've got to wait a whole other lap before I can serve that penalty, and we lose out through no fault of our own. As you can see here, it's not always just us getting involved into the carnage. Something's clearly happened with this group of cars, and Bubbles decides they have to serve justice themselves and go wide in the process. But this works out for us this occasion, as we get a nice little run on Happy 34 here, and we decide to go on the outside just to give them a bit of space. But what happens, someone tries to squeeze through, Lucifer over here, and as he squeezes through we give him a bit of room, but he barges through Happy as well, and we've got to take advantage there. But he's not been lucky this time, and he gets a 3-second penalty. And you'd hope that these penalties would be enough to just put people off, but it doesn't. We try and keep clean and give people a bit of room, try and get away from trouble, but it seems to find us. Magic already has half a second penalty, gets another penalty for going wide, and has a little tangle with Brutus here into the turn 2, 3 and 4. A bit of Tokyo drifting, and Magic just gets a little tap from us, goes wide, but decides this is what he needs to do. Push us into the gravel, and just like that we've gone from fighting for a podium position to 12th place by the end of the lap. And as we get into the last couple of corners, get a little nudge over there by SK, and go into the final corner, it squeezes us wide, and because we get pushed out wide, look at what happens. We get the half-second penalty through no fault of our own again. Once again in the same race though, a couple of laps later, funny thing happens with Magic. Decides to get onto, he's barging people off again, but finds someone who's just going to bite back. Inger's Fingers probably had enough at that point, rage quits, and we're left with SK again, who brake checks us just to guarantee that very high position of P10. Now sometimes in the game you can make mistakes, and in this occasion I did make one. I believe this race happened during the live stream, and as it happened, I might have blamed Sergio Soler for an incident, and I'm going to take this opportunity to apologise publicly. I know we have discussed it and we're both okay with it, I've admitted it, but what happened here was we're having a little battle with Max and going down into turn 2, and I do make a little mistake, but carry on. And at this point I thought Sergio Soler knocked us off, but it wasn't them. We get a 4-second penalty, which a bit dubious. Do we deserve it, do we not? But it was Max and not Sergio, so I thought I had to put it in here and just put it on the record. However, I think 4 seconds might be a bit harsh for that incident compared to other incidents that might have happened, but we took it on the chin. At this point though, is where I start getting angry during the week. And we're going through this complex again, which seems to be the one where everything happens at. Try and get a bit of space, and I get tapped from behind into the grass, losing the position. And at that point, I think you might notice I tried to snap back, but I just didn't have enough skill to connect. Probably because I lost far too much speed on there. But finishing this lap off again, as before, we'll just lose places with people squeezing through. But the moment you've all been waiting for, this is where it starts to go a bit downhill. The red mist is coming through, and as we finish this first lap in this race, we are in the gaggle of cars, and our Sierra here squeezes through, and what can I say, we send them into barrier. They probably didn't deserve that, and in the process we've gone and lost ourselves a couple of places. Going into this race, we've literally just started at lap 1. You don't really need to do a lot here, but Rattlesnake behind decides he needs to take the dive bomb of the century, push us out into the runoff area, and as we go in we think we've done enough. We kept ahead, didn't get a penalty, and as we go into turn 2, look at the distance behind, go into turn 3, and what happens? Boom, big dive bomb, and we just can't help it, and we just got to do a Kimmy Bellaccini on them and just gently push them into the gravel. Lucifer probably wants to get a bit of the action there, hesitates and just carries on, lets us through, and we're on our way. Going into the end of lap 6, we're battling for third, maybe the win, and Tarek decides he's got to try and push us off, glitches the matrix, rocks my mind, and I completely lose it. I've turned straight into Tarek, who tries to ram us into and subros it into the first corner, but we survive. We're still P2, and we've got Daniele right behind us, but we go on to finish this race. Hopefully no more drama, but yeah, that's race B for last week. It was carnage. The driving standards were poor, the sport mode where it's all about being competitive but being respectful, and a lot of people just weren't. So I'm not sure what we can do about this. We can't report them in game, and it's causing people who generally are very good drivers, clean drivers, to have to resort to losing their minds. And where do we go from here? For one, I want to be racing clean every week. I don't want to have to get to a point where I'm losing my mind and forcing people off track simply because I've had enough. And it's not what we should be doing. We should be encouraging clean driving in a mode where it's all about sport mode and treating a bit like real life. Would you really do that on a racing track where if you crash there's serious consequences? I know people are going to say it's just a game, but some of us take time out of busy lives, busy days, whole time away from family just to have a bit of entertainment, and we don't want to be crashing non-stop. But anyway, I digress. Last week is now over. We got a new week, new updates to look forward to. We're getting a new track, Road Atlanta, the Sierra, Cosworth, the M2 and the Nissan. So enjoy the game. Let's get back to clean racing. But as always, if you enjoy the content, please smash that subscribe button. It does help the channel out, like I've said many times. It is free, it doesn't cost you anything, and you'll be notified of more videos. But we'll leave it here with a nice finish. We'll have a nice little battle. We help Red Fox get into V3. We finish V2, and peace out.